What's up, Straight Up Sister Squad? It's your girl, Roxy.
And I'm La Susie.
And together we are
Straight Up Sisters, the podcast.
I'm the Bratty.
And I'm the boss.
And we love having those deep, intimate conversations where we often agree and disagree, but still love each other.
So if you love it served up with no chaser, then you're in the right place.
We are undoubtedly your favorite girls. You know who we are.
Straight Up Sisters, the podcast.
Hey, y'all. Your favorite sisters are back. Straight Up Sisters,
back.
the podcast. My name is Roxy.
And I am La Susie.
And we are so excited because today's show is literally a manifestation of... It's a manifestation of a manifestation.
We've been waiting for this moment. You guys are going to be so geeked to find out who's here in just a few minutes because we've talked about her before because you met her at a yoga event.
Yeah.
And we said it then, and we've said it many times since then, and she's here today.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I really hope that this episode inspires people, Susie, to know that what you think about and what you come across in life, like, you could literally... You can manifest things.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
And,
like,
and I want to say, like, she is the queen of affirmation and positive self-talk, realness, and manifestation.
Yeah. I'm super excited because we have today on the show our girl, Toni Jones. Yes. And she's visiting LA. You're here for the whole month of March, which is dedicated to women. It's International Women's Month, right? And
Women's
we're
History.
Women's History Month. Yes. And we're like, what better month than to have her on the podcast, on Straight Up Sisters, the podcast, in our new studio. I don't know if you know this, Toni, but you're sitting in a new revamped studio.
I love it.
And the person that designed it is Susie.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just wanted to feel cozy like home. And you already confirmed that it does.
Yes. It's perfect. I love it. It's so conversation friendly.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you feel the vibe, girl.
Yes, I feel it.
So we always start off the show. First of all, Susie, can you show them the new stickers?
Can we do that later?
No, that's like a highlight. Grab your sticker. Oh my God, aren't you proud? You should be proud.
I am proud, but I didn't know we were going to do that. Why isn't it on my laptop already?
Yeah, show the people.
Okay, so
you
we
gotta
have
zoom
new
in on
stickers,
Susie.
Squad. We have new stickers. We have Straight Up Sisters Squad. Very bold and in your face. And we have Straight Up Sisters Squad. Beautiful, dainty, and soft.
Yeah, guess
Who
which
designed what?
guess which one? Guess who designed which?
Leave the notes in the comments, Patreon, all of our Straight Up Sister Squad. Leave the note. Who designed this one? And who designed this one? We're going to call this one A, and we're going to call this one B.
No, we're gonna call this one soft, and we're gonna call the other one bold. They already know. We
wanna know.
basically gave them the answer already.
Basically, be quiet.
Okay, so Toni, welcome to our studio. We always start off our show with a highlight or a rant or a combination of both, whatever you're feeling, girl. So rant or highlight on whatever you want. We always let our guests go first.
Okay. So thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here in LA. So thank you for sharing me with your platform. My rant is, ladies, stay away from the men.
What do you mean?
So this is what I mean by that. Right now, their God is dying, meaning the God of patriarchy, capitalism, and, sex. That has been the God of masculinity and manhood in Western culture forever. And so that's no longer energetically sustaining men anymore. Men are starting to feel this big void within themselves. And a lot of them are taking advantage of women who have done the work. They don't want to do the work to connect with the divine femininity, to express their emotions, to feel vulnerable. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, find you a powerful, high vibrational woman to connect with that feeling, that essence of divine femininity, without being responsible to do the work to access it yourself. And so it ends up sucking a woman dry, you know? And so we've been mimicking the narcissist codependent dynamic in so many spaces, from employee to employer, child to parent, from priest to congregation, from government to citizens. I mean, from men to women. We look at it. We've been in a paradigm of existence of narcissism and codependency. So right now, women are being called to say, hey, this is what's happening with the men. They have to actually do the work. You're in the way. How bad do you want to get hurt by being in the way of how they need to ascend and transcend and grow and be their full selves and really operate in their potential and purpose of what men can really be? And not just hard workers, providers, they let their sexual organs guide them. No, that's beneath them.
But that's how they've been conditioned.
That's how they've been conditioned. So right now, during these times, you see how women are rising to the occasion. I mean, for years, it kind of started with entrepreneurial empowerment, but now it's moved into holistic empowerment, parent empowerment, motherhood, and financial empowerment. I mean, we're really waking up to what we can actually do. And so we need to leave. It's not about F men, ain't no good men out here, let me get to the bag. It's not that. It's like, oh, I'm in the way. You go do you. So whether you're married, whether you're single, whether you're dating, whether you're celibate, it's not about disconnecting from men. It's detaching from the fantasy of who they should be to you right now.
That is so powerful.
And let them go and be with themselves. Let the husbands really see you expand and hold space for how they're, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah.
You hold space for them in a way where you're not overly attached to their evolution, their expansion. You are the light. Stay in your bag. Yes. So that's my rant, right? Because I'm like,
that is a powerful rant.
Yes,
I'm over here snapping.
Yes, because they really don't know who they are outside of survival, and we also, but we have learned. We've been doing sister circles for years now. Even before COVID, there was like some womanhood empowerment conferences and retreats and all these things. And now it's going into the mental health, the well-being space, the sexual empowerment space, the divine awareness space. We're getting empowered in all type of ways.
These conversations more and more. People are women, we're less timid from speaking about it. Like, and especially that sexual empowerment. We're just more bold now to speak about it, to say this is where I'm at, this is what I like, this is who I authentically am, without that blanket of shame behind it. And I'm here for it.
And Toni, what would you say? Because I know we have a male audience on our podcast as well. They may not always admit that they listen to the podcast, but we know that they're listening, right? Mm-hmm. Or maybe their wives are listening and they happen to overhear the podcast. Mm-hmm. What would you say to the men that are listening that are like, I feel you. I agree with Toni, but how do I even start?
This is how you
process.
This is how you start. You start in your quiet time. It's challenging because this type of work it feels feminine, so it can feel awkward and very uncomfortable to be that vulnerable with yourself in a way no one showed you how. Yes. So my ideal call to action would be, so I have an ideal call to action and then I have a realistic call to action for the men. Okay, so the ideal one is in your private time, just say to yourself, I will the brotherhood that's going to support my evolution as a man. Mm. Like, I will that everything that I need in brotherhood, everything that everything that I'm missing in my support system. I can no longer depend on women to be my rehabilitation center for my evolution. Yeah. I have to depend on my source. I will my brotherhood, because that's what's happened. Women have found their sisterhood. Yep. And now we're just growing in these incubating centers of our womb. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We have these hubs. So I would say that's my ideal call to action. My realistic call to action is go follow Sacred Sons on Instagram. Sacred Sons. Go follow Supernova Slum. He actually is Supernova, and he runs Men Heal Thyself. He has a book out, and go follow him. Men Heal Thyself. What's another? Leon Walker. He's a recovering narcissist, so he really unpacks the behavioral traits so you can identify and say, "Hey, that's what I do. These are my thought patterns." And you know, it's known that narcissists don't recover. They don't heal, but he's proven you don't hear that often. So he's very rare. So, but he's delivering so many people with his Leon Walker, Leion Walker. Who else is that? Black Man Heal is a good one. Jason Wilson, and these are all Instagram baddies I'm giving you guys.
Glad you're saying that.
Yeah, this is a real. Just follow them, because sometimes we as human beings, we just need the information to give us the update. Yes. Like, you know how you on your phone you need that update to clear the butt. Like sometimes you just need the information, the data. And you're like, oh, okay, now I know.
I'll take it from here.
I'll take it. Okay, let me download this practice. Let me see if this, oh, that's what I'm doing. Oh, man, I didn't know I was causing that type of harm. Oh, man, I didn't know I had this type of wound. I need a therapist. You see what I'm saying? So that's more of a realistic call to action. Is go follow these guys to hopefully give you the update you may need in your awareness and having some information on how to actually evolve and go about this process amongst men, because the real call to action in the ideal or realistic one is men need each other.
They do.
Just like women.
They need each other.
So many times here that there's, like you said, there's so many resources and groups of women that are out there that are awakened to this and that are doing the work, and together with other women are doing the work. There's almost nothing available for men. So the fact that you drop these resources, I think it's amazing. And I just looked up Leon, and I love that he is a man of color, because that community is so underserved. Like the Black and brown community is so underserved, because all they were taught was to survive. And it goes back generations and generations.
Yes.
And it's just so normal now that it's they're not, the awareness isn't even there. That's just how they wake up and do their day every single day.
Like, I am that. This is who I am. It is what it is. It's that type of mentality. Yeah, I do what I want.
Was talking to a woman the other day who's been married. I'll share with you who it is off the air, because you know her. 25 years, and she's married to a Japanese man, and so it's like it's people of color, and it's people from Japan too, Asian men. And I was like 25 years you're separated? Like, what happened, right? You're thinking like 25 years, like it's not repairable. And she was just like, it's so hard for him to express himself. Like, it's just emotion to him is like off.
It's off.
You don't even go there.
That culture is the same. That culture is very
shut
off.
You don't talk about emotion. You don't talk about feelings. And
you don't express yourself.
It took you 25 years to realize that? She's like, no, at 10 years I realized it. But you know, I stayed 15 years because of our daughters. And I'm like,
it took 25 years to come to a breaking point.
Yeah, but still, you know, it goes back. I mean, listen, I'm not blaming it all on him. It takes two, right? But still, their biggest problem is she can't get him to express. She can't get him to talk. It's argument.
So many women that experience that's their story. Yeah. That's their narrative. Another one is Lauren Krenn, LORINN KRENN. He is nuts. The type of information and shares he gives for women and men, it's just incredible. He really teaches about masculine and feminine energy, divine masculine, divine feminine, and the feminine wounds and the masculine wounds. I mean, he does incredible dynamic work. So check him out as well. But yeah, that's the narrative for so many women all over the world. We can't get them out of emotions, express their emotions. I saw something on TikTok a couple weeks ago that blew my mind. This lady back in the 80s, 90s, she did a social experiment, and she was more on the masculine side. Her voice was a little deeper. She had masculine features. For one whole full year, she lived as a man. It was a social experiment. And so when she came back and did her research and did some news interviews about the research, she said women have no idea how horrible it is to be a man. She said, I don't know if I'm going to survive this experiment because I had no idea that it was that bad. And then they asked her, like, well, do you think women have just a simple idea or some insight? She was like, women have a different struggle, but a man's struggle is like you turn off your humanity completely. You can't feel, you can't cry, you get
'Cause of the
rejected by women
expectations.
all the time. You have to provide, you have to be tough, you have to. She ended up committing suicide, taking her
No.
life because of what she experienced. She just could not believe she lived in a world where this was normalized for men to just deal with this reality. And
Oh my
and I'm telling you,
gosh.
when she was talking in this interview, you know, I went down a rabbit hole. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm
Risa,
I
I
need
forgot her
name 'cause
name
I'm
though.
about to go
I
down a
know. I'm
rabbit
gonna
hole.
make sure I send it to you because
Yeah.
I had took notes and everything. And when I saw this, I was just like, oh my God, this is a deep story. And so
Wow.
it made me feel, I guess, some empathy of what
Mhm.
I don't know about that experience, because I can only imagine what it's like to be a man in a world that tells you that it's it's bad to be feminine. It's bad to be human. It's bad to cry. You a boy, you a man, be a man. You know, and I look at
Yeah.
little boys when they're like 1, 2
Mhm.
years old, they just as human, just as expressive, just love, just giving,
Right.
playful, you know, rambunctious. And it's like to turn that chi off,
Right.
turn that energy off just to be a hard worker, masculine man. That's like horrible. And I feel
Yeah.
like women have been told differently how to turn our humanity off in different ways.
Right.
But we still, you know, we can gather together and it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, we can make money together and it's okay. We can nurture our children, it's okay. So much of what women do, we have social permission to do. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Our struggle is different. But men, I don't think I can imagine what it's like.
Wow.
Yeah.
I gotta see that social experiment
I'll
now.
make sure I
I can't
send it
believe
to
she
you.
committed suicide
Yeah,
from
she
it.
took her
I
life.
believe it. I believe it because I do see, just within my own husband, the work that we've done together, how it's not appreciated and it's not rewarded within his own community to be a softer man, right? To show up. He's very attentive. He's very loving. He wasn't the best communicator. He's much better now. But he has a soft energy about him. Like he doesn't need to be, he's okay with being vulnerable with me, not necessarily outside of our home. Because again, it's not socially acceptable.
Mhm.
They get teased. If nothing else, they get teased, which brings shame for even considering to walk outside of that box, to walk
Yeah.
outside of the lane that they've been told. I mean, from the simplest programming, right? Like, why are you crying? Boys don't cry. Well, why not? Because if you remove their genitalia, they're humans. And humans do cry. Humans do feel sadness. Humans feel those emotions, but we tell boys from jump that boys don't cry,
Yeah.
or
There's even
you're
a song I
crying like a
think
girl.
called "Boys Don't Cry" by The Cure. Boys Don't Cry.
Mm.
There's a
Yeah.
song called "Boys Don't Cry."
I mean, that is a whole
Oh my
topic on its
gosh.
own.
A
Yeah.
whole topic
I
on
mean,
its
you know what?
own.
Some of those guests that you dropped, I'm gonna reach out to them. I want to talk to the recovering narcissist.
Yes,
That
Leon
will
is
be
worth
powerful.
it. It saved me. His work saved me because, short story long, I worked with someone very closely. He was the reason why I started performing. We did the last album together. And it
Which
was
I
a
love.
narcissist codependent relationship dynamic. I mean, he was my
Oh.
DJ, my manager, my everything. And he had the same name as this guy, Leon Walker. And it took me, I had therapists after I got out of that dynamic. I had a trauma recovery coach. I had a therapist. I had 2 therapists. And then I came across his work. And that's when I finally accepted that I was dealing with it, because I couldn't imagine this person has been riding with me. I have never built anything with a man before in my life, like something that was fruitful. It was like, I feel like we had a cosmic baby. And so it took Leon Walker to tell me, like, he literally in his video says, listen, this is what Leon does. This is what Leon does. I'm like, these brothers got the same name. It was almost like God was like, look,
Yeah, he could have been.
this
one
is
here.
what it is.
Yep.
But the thing about it, I also heard spirits not demonize him, not judge him. You were participating. You were a participant in co-creating this dynamic as
Yeah.
well. So what are your lessons?
Yeah.
How can you heal from this?
That's
And see,
the key right there.
that's where a lot of people fail. Is they
Yes.
love to point the finger
Yep.
And I've seen women in that space.
I've
where
done it.
They love to point
Yeah.
the finger, and it's just like, well, what was my part in this?
Yep.
Because I'm the one that allowed this.
Yep.
You know,
That's where
so
my liberation was.
That's it.
That's where but I had to admit what I experienced. And when I got to the root of why I tolerated narcissistic dynamics in others and why I felt a home in that, I got to the root of it. So I no longer need to choose those dynamics anymore. I know what the real issue is, and I wasn't aware of that before him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm y'all, it's a miracle that I can even say I'm grateful
Yeah.
for him
That's beautiful.
and what he brought. I have lessons that will last 100 lifetimes and after
Yeah.
that.
I've
Yeah.
said that a
You know?
million times here as well. Like my first husband, as tumultuous and hurtful and crazy and chaotic as
Toxic,
that was,
yeah.
and toxic for sure, he has been my greatest teacher.
Yeah.
Because when I sat back and admitted it, what it was, and then admitted that I played a role in it, and then took accountability for that, and then just started to be grateful for the lesson instead of
Girl.
hating him, I have that like literally catapulted me
Yes.
to the next level.
Yeah.
And I can see him today with empathy
Yes.
and not with hatred or disgust. And what a blessing to me, because I had to raise another human being with him. So my son's experience wasn't as horrendous as it probably could have been,
Yes.
because of what I took from him. Instead of saying, you ruined me, you broke me, you this, you that,
Yeah.
it was a different story for me, because I chose to view it that way and to learn from it instead
Yes.
of let it own me and still be. I was just talking, I do hair, I'm a
Okay.
hairdresser, and I was just talking to
wow.
a client, and I was like, how awful. She was telling me a story about a lady that was still very angry and resentful and bitter to her ex-husband.
That's
Do you
a
know
lot
how
of people,
do you
men
know
and
how
women.
long they've not been married?
Oh my God, let
30
me guess.
fucking years. 30 years, and this lady is still walking around with that weight and that resentment and that hatred towards
Like,
that
when
person.
are you gonna let
Bitch,
that
that was
go?
a whole fucking lifetime ago. And you are still that angry. Like, that person owns you. And what a
Totally.
shame.
Mhm.
There's
That
no
energy.
liberation in that.
Yeah, and that's where our freedom is. And see, that's why I talk so like openly about these things and be as transparent as possible. You know, I still have some things for me that's my privacy, you know, that keeps them. I don't share everything. I don't overshare, but it's very much a value for me to openly share about these things I experience
Yeah.
and share it from a place of wisdom and a place of love, because I can easily turn the corner and get real petty and overshare to the point
all
where
can.
I'm like, yeah, he was like that. You know, I can
Yep.
I can finagle it
Yep.
and be petty, and you know what I'm saying. But it's like my intention is to come from a pure place. My
Yeah, I love
intention
that.
is that women can recognize this behavior, release the man early on, before you give up all your power.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
the key.
notice the signs. Trust your intuition. That's the biggest thing. I feel like majority of my hardest times was when I went against my intuition.
Oh,
And then I
amen.
had to learn all these lessons to not go against my intuition. So now I'm in this space. Now I'm just like, what would happen if I listen to my intuition? What would happen? What booby traps will I avoid?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What hard lessons would I not have to learn? You know, what happens if I stay on this place, in this place of alignment and grounding and listening to myself? What does not feel good? What doesn't feel true? What doesn't feel safe? Like, whether it's right or wrong, or whether you can argue about it, or, you know what I'm saying? Either way, you have to be standing your truth.
Yeah, but for some
Like,
people, that feels like foreign territory.
It does.
Because when you get to that place of peace and quiet,
It
and
does.
like everything feels good.
I
Oh
know.
my God, where's the chaos? Where's the drama? I'm not used to living in
I
this
never.
peace. And they want to go be rambunctious or attract those type of people because they're like, my life is too quiet. My life is too peaceful. What's going on?
I never thought. I've heard that so many times, and I never thought I would ever relate to that. I would have never thought,
Until
because
you
I'm
did, huh?
until I did. Until I did. I still go through it here and there, just like, wow, I don't have no drama in my life.
How can I spice
Hallelujah.
it
And then,
up?
and I can
No.
go,
Right.
and then my brain will try and collect some data to create a story, and it's just like, Well, I have a higher story for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I have a truer story for that. I have a more grounded story. I have a more, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just like the old way of how my brain used to organize data points to dictate how I should feel, how I should
Yeah.
think, how I should see situations. It's been dismantled a bit. Yeah.
And that is such
That is
a
so dope.
beautiful space to operate from, because you take control back of your life and of
Yeah.
the way that you move, and ultimately of then the things that happen to you. Because this is not to say that because you move this way that you'll never have conflict or
Mhm.
heartache in your life ever again, but they won't come in and wipe you out,
Wipe me
because
out.
you
Yeah.
have the tools and you have the mindset and the forethought,
Yeah.
and how to handle it in a way
Mhm.
that's gonna teach you something and still leave you peaceful, and then you can
Yes.
share it with the world. Girl, you are amazing, and we're gonna
Thank
get
you.
into, if you guys can believe it or not, because this first 25 minutes of the show have been like so
Intense.
already.
And
We're gonna
thick.
get into this conversation with Toni Jones here on Patreon.
Hold on, you haven't done your highlight or your
We're
rant.
gonna do that on the other side, because guess what? Time's up.
Okay, we're gonna do the highlight or the rant coming up next on Patreon.